Hi guys! So I have a little bit of a setup today. I just want to be very intentional about everything I'm creating, and yeah, I just wanted to kind of set something up today for today's video, just because it's fun for me. So today I'm going to be talking about social anxiety. Also, before I start, there's a lot of noises going on. My neighbor is screaming, as he does, and there's like music going on outside, so if you can hear any of that, I do apologize, but I wanted to film this. So if you've been watching me for a little while, social anxiety is something I've talked about somewhat frequently on my channel, here and there, and I feel I have attracted a lot of viewers that go through similar struggles that I have. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about this and just give you some insight into my healing process and steps that I took to heal this part of me and kind of let go of this story. Because over the past few months I've realized that's what it really was a story I told myself. I told myself that it was difficult for me to connect to other people, so it was. And I really have made such a big, ginormous change in this aspect of my life, to the point where I don't even necessarily think of myself as like socially anxious anymore. So I do kind of want this to be like a healing series. So if there's any specific topics or things that you're struggling with that you would like to hear me speak on, or just how they related to my own journey, please leave comments, because I'm open to talking about anything as long as I have something to say about it. So yeah, I have a few notes written down and I'm just gonna kind of flow through it, see what comes up, and this will just be like the first episode, just a few little thoughts that I have. So, something that I've been thinking about a lot recently is the idea of freedom, and there's a lot of themes coming up for me in my life right now of like where I hold myself back and where I act from a place of fear instead of letting myself be free in the world and move through the world in a way that feels most authentic and in a way that is aligned fully. And along with that comes the idea of like freedom through people, and this is something I'm still struggling with a lot, but just the idea that it is safe for me to connect with all kinds of people, and just finding safety in that freedom, safety in letting people flow in and out of my life and accepting that as a fact. By letting yourself be fully open to connection to other people, that kind of is what freedom is in a way, when you have these walls up and when you are scared to put yourself out there and make new friends or meet new people. You're like dodging everything in life, because really that's what being a human is. We're social creatures. It's hard to live a fulfilled life without having freedom in the way we interact with people. And I think that's kind of what can be most challenging about social anxiety, is it just leaves you feeling trapped. I know that's how I felt specifically like 2 summers ago in my life. I was terrified of all humans, and I've never felt more trapped on this planet in my life, because everywhere you go, people are there. And also I'm a person myself, of course, so like it's kind of a terrifying feeling to feel so trapped when you're so afraid of talking to other people, of sharing your truth with other people, of just having fun with other people. When you don't let yourself do that, you're really trapping yourself from everything. So that's a very challenging but truthful realization that I've had recently, and I've just been trying to free myself from those walls, because they do still exist. I mean, obviously on a different level. There used to be like 10 walls, now I feel there's only like perhaps 1 or 2. Yeah, so that's just kind of something to play with in your mind and sit with, is just like, where does that fear leave you trapped? And not to overanalyze that, but just kind of sit with that. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about I guess I'll talk a little bit now about like what you can do once you've realized that. So first of all, so much of the fear of people comes from something within yourself that you're ashamed of, and something within yourself that you feel like you need to hide, because, you know, then when you meet other people, you kind of shut down because there's something within you that like you feel like if they know, then the world is just gonna come crashing down. And it might be something that like actually is a big secret. It may be that you're like very aware of, but it may be something that you're not even aware of, and it's just a way you've always gone about acting in the world, and you've just kind of always held everything inside. Either way is fine. But typically, I feel that's kind of where a fear of people comes from, and where that social anxiety can stem from, is just feeling like there's something within you that you need to hide because you're ashamed of it. And when people get too close, you kind of start to freak out, maybe distance yourself, whatever. Everyone has different defense mechanisms. But I think it's important to an extent to have insight into what that is, whether it be a secret that you're hiding from people, or whether it be, like I said, just the way you move about the world. Have insight into kind of where that came from and why the shame exists, why it's there. But don't pick at it, don't pick it apart. Just kind of sit with that realization and be like, oh, there is something inside of me that feels very heavy right now, that feels like if I let it out, something's gonna go completely wrong. And firstly, just understand that you are okay exactly as you are. We're all people, and we're all the same. We're all reflections of each other. There's nothing to be ashamed of, truly. I really mean that. Like, you are okay as you are. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to change. You are okay as you are. There's nothing you need to hide. Even though it may feel that way. And I know how it feels. I know that feeling. But sit with that for a little bit and just ask yourself questions about where that shame comes from. And don't feel the need to find the answers. Don't feel like super attached to like, I need to find the answer now so I can fix this problem. I don't want to be socially anxious anymore. You have to remember it's a process. And I think that truly is one of the things that helped me heal so deeply, is just accepting that life is a process. And that you aren't going to have all the answers, you aren't going to have everything figured out. You're not going to be like, okay, I want to heal my social anxiety by tomorrow. It's not gonna be drastically different. It's a process, and you may look back on this process years from now and be like, oh wow, I'm so glad I took these steps. And in the moment, it may not have felt like anything was shifting drastically, but day by day, when you're taking little baby steps for yourself and you're being really gentle for yourself, things will shift. Like, I've seen that in my life. Things will shift. So don't be too hard on yourself if you just aren't seeing any progress. But yeah, accepting that life is a process is very helpful in any healing process, I think. And just flowing with that, letting go of the need for control, and also knowing that it's safe to figure it out as you go. So that can be in like the grand scheme of things, like in life, it's okay to figure things out as you go, but in terms of social anxiety, for me, a lot of it stemmed from my words and conversation, and not being able to flow through conversations and having to like think of what I was gonna say before actually verbalizing it, and just getting very in my head about what I was gonna say next and what the person would think about me if I said this or this or this or this, and like where the conversation could go. Instead of just letting myself flow with it and figure it out as I go, trusting that I had the ability to figure it out as I go. And again, just taking like little baby steps towards that, like challenging yourselves in little ways, like putting yourself in a conversation where maybe it's a completely new person, or like maybe you have no idea what direction it's gonna go in, where you just like don't really have any intentions and your only intention is to have a flowing conversation. Just try it out. That was something that helped me a lot, was that mindset that like, I'm figuring it out as I go. I'm moving and I may be confused and unsure of myself still, but you have to start putting yourself into little situations where you have that opportunity to, I don't know, do something different. So I would say my journey with healing this, at least like at this point in my life, started about a year ago. And the first thing I did to just get in a better space mentally, because I was at like the lowest place mentally I've been in a long time, was getting off social media and just taking so much time for myself. So much time for myself to just really fully be in my own energy, fully be present with myself, and really start to discover my authenticity again, because at that point in my life it was so hard for me to be around people, and I felt like I had to put on a completely different mask, and I had like my people face that I would go out with that like was so confusing to me because it didn't feel authentic, it didn't feel like me. So I was like, well, how am I even supposed to know who I am when I feel like I have to put on this face for everyone else? And that's stressful and anxiety provoking in itself. So it really helped me to just take up space for myself, like in my room alone. And like I said, I deleted Instagram for, I think it was like 3 months at the beginning of last year, and that was really healing for me because it just allowed me to not have that like blurriness and like, just all that fog of like what everyone else is doing around me and comparing myself to that, because when you're already in a very low place, it's easy to do that. So I really recommend creating that space for yourself and just like being super, super gentle about whatever's coming up, journaling a lot, and creating is something that really helped me. I was painting a lot. I created my own oracle card deck at that time. I was kind of getting back into YouTube, and I was just letting myself flow with whatever was coming up, and it felt safe because I was just in my own space. So creating that own space for yourself, if you have the opportunity to do so, I know not everyone does, but if you do, is really healing, and that can help you reconnect to your authenticity, whatever that means to you, and in turn become more confident. I feel like when you connect to your authenticity and you begin to find like who you are at your core and really connect to what makes you feel passionate and alive, that just is an instant confidence boost in a way, because just feeling that way, like you feel so good about yourself. You're like, this is who I am, and not in a way that like you're defining yourself or you're like putting yourself into a box, but you're just letting yourself fully be. That's a confidence boost. And then in turn, I've learned that when you're out in the world, you're kind of just like, I'm being me. It doesn't really matter what I'm saying or how I'm acting right now, because this is me. It's coming from an authentic place, and that feels really good. And kind of just learning how to put your energy first in a way, instead of worrying about how the other person is perceiving you or how you're kind of shaking up their world, how you're impacting their brain and their mind, and their little universe. Just being like, this is my little universe. And yes, we all impact each other, and it's important to understand that and learn that and have balanced relationships, of course, but on this journey, it's really important how to learn to take up space for yourself and put your own energy first and create boundaries for yourself in that way. Okay, I think that's all I really wanted to say today. Those are just like some thoughts I have about all of this right now, but I would love to go like deeper into specific processes or just experiences, whether it be like with dating, with friendships, or like really specific things like tips on how to feel more comfortable in a conversation, or I don't know, whatever it is, being more vulnerable, being more open with others, being more honest with others. Those are all things that I have had deep lessons in, in the past few months. So yeah, I'm really excited just to be able to have the opportunity to share my journey with you, and hopefully it can heal you in some way. Yeah, thank you for listening to me as always. I love you guys a lot, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!